SCP-096. SCP-096 is the tall, pale humanoid who will obliterate you if you see its face, even in a photo. Let me ask you something. Have you ever seen grief so deep it becomes violence? That is 096, except it is not grief over love lost or war fought, it as grief over being perceived. You look at a picture, a reflection, a shadow that happens to have its face in it. Congratulations. You have anywhere between 30 seconds and 5 minutes to write your will. Then it begins. A primal, bone-cracking scream and the sound of fingernails ripping reality open as it hunts you. It does not matter where you are. Underwater. Dead already. In space. Hiding behind the concept of metaphysics. This thing will find you. It will sprint through buildings, over mountains, across oceans with the kind of speed that breaks narrative consistency. Governments tried to hide it. They failed. Because this thing doesn't kill for sport. It kills because someone saw it. That's it. No great backstory. No motive. It is the weaponization of introversion. And the worst part? After it's done turning your skeleton into performance art, it cries. It collapses, face buried in those abnormally long hands, and just sobs every single time, like a god that didn't ask to be born and punishes anyone who acknowledges its existence. So yeah, don't blink, don't scroll. And whatever you do, don't look at the face. SCP-106. SCP-106 is an elderly humanoid who CP-231. SCP-231 is the girl who, if mishandled, will give birth to something so apocalyptic it makes biblical revelations look like coloring books. I hate this one. I hate this one because it's not a monster. It's not a shadow beast or an ancient god or a sentient virus. It's a girl. They called her SCP-2317. She's the last of 7. The others are dead. Each gave birth to something the Foundation won't even name. There's a procedure. Procedure 110 Montauk. Nobody outside Level 4 clearance knows what it is. But they have to perform it daily, or the fetus inside her, which may or may not be real progresses. That's the word they use. Progresses. She screams when they do it. They all did. And staff assigned to her either go insane, kill themselves, or become weirdly obsessed with her. Something about her twists people, and the ones who request transfers, they get denied. Because she's too important. Every Foundation file about her is redacted into oblivion, but the fear still leaks through. It's in the tone, the silence, the way nobody jokes around her case. Even in a place that literally stores gods, she is special. It's not about what she is, it's about what she might become, or what might be born through her, or what already was, and this is just the residue of divine horror bleeding into human skin. If that doesn't ruin your night, nothing will. SCP-173. SCP-173 is a murderous statue that snaps your neck the second you stop looking at it. This one's the original. The prototype. The reason why the SCP Foundation has blinking protocols in their training manuals, it's not poetic, it's not complex, it's not even subtle, but it is terrifying in a way that makes your body seize up like a broken marionette. Here's the game. Don't blink. That's it. That's the whole mechanic. But try standing in a small concrete room with a statue that looks like a toddler's nightmare version of the Michelin Man. Its body stained with something that might be blood or feces, or some existential mix of both, and hold eye contact while your eyes scream for moisture. One blink, 1 millisecond of darkness behind your eyelids, and your head becomes an exclamation mark of cracked vertebrae. It moves when you don't look. Not slowly, not ominously. Instantly. One frame it's there. The next it's 6 inches from your teeth. Arms poised like a dancer ready to break you in half. It doesn't need logic. Or reason. It just kills. The room it's kept in requires 3 people to enter. Why? because no human can stare forever. So they form a loop of blinks, calling out each one like it's a fire drill in a cursed kindergarten, blinking, eyes on, switching, like soldiers guarding a meme that murders. It was made of concrete and rebar. Until one day it wasn't. Now it bleeds when attacked. It leaves trails. It gets bored. Sometimes it moves even when people do look. And that, right there, is the death of rules, the death of safety. Because if SCP-173 can break its own game, then maybe we never knew the rules at all. Say P610, SCP-610 is a contagious skin disease that turns humans into walking blobs of flesh spaghetti. You thought body horror peaked with Cronenberg? Please, Cronenberg is amateur hour compared to the red flesh plague crawling out of rural Siberia. It starts simple. A rash, a patch of irritated skin. Maybe a little flaking. Harmless, right? Wrong, because the moment that rash hits, your body ceases to belong to you. It starts building, growing, extruding. You grow skin where there shouldn't be skin. You grow arms on your arms. You sprout meaty tentacles from your throat and legs that end in twitching masses of failed evolution. And then you don't stop. You don't just become a monster, you become an ecosystem. SCP-610 doesn't just infect people, it terraforms them. Entire villages got consumed. The buildings were turned into grotesque rib cages made of fused bone and wood. The walls pulse. The doors scream. The infected walk around doing things no one knows. Research teams go in. None come out. One drone showed footage of a creature that looked like a human arm with no body crawling through a hallway made of lungs. You can't burn it. You can't bomb it because it's not a disease. It's a philosophy made flesh. A new world that wears your skin like a brochure. And the Foundation's final order for dealing with it? Quarantine the region forever. CP-093. SCP-093 is a mirror disk that opens portals to alternate realities so horrifying. Even the narrative tries to look away. A red disk, that's all it is. A disk that glows when you hold it near a mirror. Pick it up and the reflection warps, turns deep, oceanic. You touch it and poof, you're gone. Into somewhere, not a metaphor, a literal other world. Each time they sent someone in, it was like peeling back another layer of the world's worst onion. First, ruined cities. Then, dead civilizations where people had barcodes on their foreheads and deified technology like a wrathful god. Cults worshipping machines, executions as rituals. Everything watched by statues that bleed light and don't blink. And the worst part is, those worlds, they're versions of us. Timelines where one wrong turn led to annihilation wearing the skin of bureaucracy. There's one log where an agent finds his own corpse, wearing his gear, logged in as him. Killed decades before he was even born, the logs become erratic. The images corrupted, like reality itself regrets being filmed. CP-093 doesn't just transport you, it tempts you. It wants you to see, because the more you look, the more you realize, maybe this isn't an alternate world. Maybe it's a preview. You ever heard of SCP-3001? It's a creepypasta about a man who fell into a void. Not a metaphor, like a literal hole in reality. The Foundation tried to contain it, but it's beyond containment. It's a tear in the fabric of existence. Time, space, self-decay in there like wet paper and acid. The story's from the perspective of Robert Scranton, the guy who fell in. At first, he's just stuck in a place with no light or sound. But then he starts to forget things. His wife's face, his own name, why he's there. He's left with nothing but thoughts and echoes. As time goes on, he starts talking to these thoughts, begging them to remember him, but eventually he stops. He stops because he can't remember himself. He's lost to the void. The Foundation only recovered pieces of him. Memories trapped in corrupted data files. This isn't your typical monster story. There's no jump scares or blood and guts. It's the slow, horrifying descent into madness and oblivion. Being erased from reality while you're still alive. That's the horror. CP2316. SCP-2316 is a lake. There are bodies in the water. You do not recognize the bodies in the water. Don't lie to yourself. You just read that sentence and thought, I kinda do though. That's the trap. That's the infection. Because SCP-2316 is a cognitive hazard so vile, it weaponizes memory and turns nostalgia into a death sentence. There's a lake, peaceful, still dead calm. And just under the surface, there are people, dozens of them, drowning, but not moving, watching, waiting. You look at them and something in your brain short circuits. You think, that's my friend, that's my classmate. I remember them. I recognize that face from school. But you're wrong. The second you acknowledge the bodies, really believe you recognize them, you become part of the lake, mentally, then physically. You strip off your gear, walk in, smile, let the water close over you like it's welcoming you back. They don't even have to pull you. You go willingly because something in your memory got hijacked, remixed, weaponized. This isn't horror through violence. It's horror through intimacy, a false familiarity that makes you kill yourself with a grateful sigh. And the foundation? They have to keep sending in memetically trained agents who've had parts of their memory stripped just to avoid falling victim. They have to burn through people like bullets just to observe the lake safely. So if you're thinking, wait, I do recognize them, no, you don't. You never did. CP001, one day breaks. CP001 refers to an apocalyptic scenario where the sun, yes, the literal sun melts all life into sentient, flesh warp puddles that want you to join them. Let's get this out of the way. This is not metaphorical. This is not spiritual. This is the sun deciding it's done being a vitamin and wants to become a weapon, a god, a liquid apocalypse that doesn't explode, it absorbs. When day breaks, humans don't die. No, that would be merciful. They melt. Skin sloughs off like wet clay, bones soften into sludge, and organs slide into a thinking soup of horror. But somehow, they're still alive. Not just alive, aware, capable, hopeful even. These creatures, melting, screaming, puddles of skin and soul, don't rage. They reach. They crawl toward others, whispering promises of warmth, safety, belonging. They offer hugs. You will not like the hugs. There's footage, corrupted, hazy, analog static stuff of what used to be people dragging their half-formed heads down hallways, saying, it's better like this. They melt under doors. They ooze through vents. One of them wrote, with a finger made of rib meat, come outside. It's beautiful. It gets worse. A survivor recounts watching her dog liquefy in the sun, wagging its tail until it no longer had one, and still trying to follow her. And here's the kicker, the SCP Foundation, those cynical, morally flexible bastards, they lost. Earth is gone. Containment failed. One breached containment not with claws or mind control, but sunlight, that warm, familiar glow we crave in winter. It now cooks you into love-addled soup. Every shadow is a lifeline. Every window is a death trap. And the sun, it's smiling. CP058, SCP-058 is a demonic, cow-like heart monster with barbed tentacles, a venomous stinger, and a poetic tendency to speak in violent metaphors. Oh yes, let's talk about the speeding nightmare. Imagine a pulsating heart the size of a boar, sprouting 6 razor-tipped tendrils, a stinger that shoots neurotoxic ink, and legs that skitter like an abomination auditioning for the role of worst thing ever. Now give it a British accent and a grudge against everything with bones. SCP-058 isn't just terrifying because it kills, though. It absolutely murders. It once cleared out an entire site, eviscerating trained personnel and reducing reinforced walls to chewed drywall. And it enjoyed it. Every cut, every stab. It narrates its violence like it's reading slam poetry from hell. The bleeding sun sets upon the garden of meat. That's a real quote. It has dozens more. It doesn't just kill at monologues, bloodily, elegantly. Like Edgar Allan Poe got dumped by Satan and turned into a heart with legs. They locked it in a reinforced box, pumped full of sleeping gas, surrounded by auto turrets, inside another box because it has a habit of bursting free whenever the narrative gets boring. But even sedated, it talks. Not in rage, not in confusion, but in verses, oozing dread like a Shakespearean demon. Lines like, I can taste your eyes, I can smell your dreams. You don't survive SCP-058, you get quoted by it. In past tense.